know very, very well why there's one version of the Quran, I hope. Okay? You know what Uthman did, Caliph Uthman did.
What did he do?
He destroyed all the forms of the Quran that disagreed with the one that he chose through Zayd bin Thabit.
How are you going to prove that?
Which is historical fact. Just study history. You know very well that the third Caliph, Caliph Uthman, had all the different Qurans that weren't identical gathered together, and he said, Zayd bin Thabit, you are the one to decide what is the real thing, because you're the best source of information. Fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I got a real intellectual problem with you. Well, I'm sorry. Just study your history.
Studied it. Wrong.
Well, then you haven't studied it closely enough, because Zayd bin Thabit was hired and employed by the third Caliph, Uthman, to do that.
Piled them. Bring it into writing. Bring it
It already had been in writing, and there were different forms of it. And Caliph Uthman said, you go out and you're going to make the real one, and we're going to destroy the other ones.
Maybe it's just me. But isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Because maybe I just don't understand. And maybe if Cliff was just speaking in a nice, calm tone, but the gotcha kind of voice and tone and the frustration, the hype in his voice just made me realize, like, you're saying this as if the Caliph Uthman was so wrong. He did something so dramatic that shows that your Quran is not true, because you don't know if you got the true words of Allah that was handed down to Muhammad, that was then told to scribes, and the scribes supposedly wrote it out. So you don't even know if that's the right one, because Caliph Uthman, what he did. Yet, in your own Christianity, you can't verify that you actually have the actual writings from the first century, early first century, during the time frame of Jesus, that if Jesus existed, that these are the things that actually happened, that these are the words that were actually spoken. You actually have no idea, because no Bible, no inscription, only a small fragment is from like the 50, 60 CE. Everything else is decades older, 100 years older. And then, just like Caliph Uthman, from 325 to 369, it was decided what was going to be the canon for the Bible. There were many books that were discarded, whether we're talking about the Gospel of Nicodemus, the Gospel of Thomas, the secret writings of Peter, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the secret writings of Adam, the books of Enoch. There are so many books that were then decided not to be part of the Bible, to which you now are defending, Cliff, because a group of men over a 20+ year period were trying to decide which books were going to be the canon, and most of that was decided by one man, Athanasius. You see, for those of you who have read anything about the Council of Nicaea, and one of the things that you'll come to understand is that there were two competing bishops. One, Athanasius, the bishop of the Coptic Church in Egypt, and then there was Arius. He was also a bishop out in Egypt. Arius did not believe in the Trinity. Athanasius believed in the Trinity. The Orthodox Church supported the Trinity. Athanasius was then put in charge of, and so that was the Nicene Creed. So then Athanasius was then put in charge of deciding when Easter was going to happen for all Christians in the Roman Empire, right? And during that time frame, Athanasius would also publish what he thought was the canon. And he did this for about 25, 29 years. He kept posting this, sending this off, until finally it was decided at another council that that was going to be the canon. Now, there were conversations at other canons as to whether or not, other councils, whether or not they were going to add something or take something away. But in essence, the canon was decided in 369 by one man, who then convinced the whole group. So it's the same shit. Whether you're talking about Caliph Uthman or you're talking about Athanasius, it's the same thing. People decided what books were going to be of God and what books were not going to be of God. and you have no idea what the other book said. And there are other books and manuscripts that we'll probably never know of that were in existence. Christians like to say the Dead Sea Scrolls are Dead Sea Scrolls. What about all the writings in the Dead Sea Scrolls? The Dead Sea Scrolls also have copies of the book of Enoch. So you're going to say that, oh, but it has a copy of Isaiah. So you are only accepting the Dead Sea Scrolls based on the fact that it has books that are already in your canon. But anything outside of your canon, you're saying is not, but they're part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So you're picking and choosing based on what somebody else 1700 years ago pick and chose for you. And he's trying to make that seem like that's a bad thing in Islam, but it's the same damn thing in Christianity. See, the hypocrisy of these religions is why you should always and consistently contemplate deeply whether or not you should participate in them. Because most times you're going to find that there are so many contradictions and so much immorality that you just can't find yourself following this religion if you clearly think through it. So take your time, continue to do so, continue to search, continue to research, continue to think. And always remember that you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.